Hey guys, so in this video we'll be covering about the interpretation of the SPSS output that we get in the examination. Now, one thing to notice is this video was completely done with exam point of view. So in case if you want to learn more or understand the concepts better with respect to SPSS, it's better to revisit the classroom sessions recording and the recording of the session that we had as a batch. Now, before we start, this video is done in two parts. In the first part, we'll be covering about the regression model and how to arrive at the regression model. And in the second part, we'll be talking about the validation of the regression model, whether the model is a good model or if it isn't. Now, this video is done by referring to one of the questions that were asked in a previous semester. So we hope that tomorrow's question paper also is something around that or something very similar, so that no one comes and beat me. Yeah, so let me start by sharing the screen. So this is the question that we have here. This document will be shared, so this question can be read later at your own pace. But in order to give an overview of the question so that we can do a good analysis, this is about the price of Big Mac burger in every particular country, and they are trying to find if there is an association between the price of the Big Mac and the net hourly wage in that particular country. Now, why are they doing it? If you read the question, you will understand. Let's not go to that part. So these are the outputs that we have here for the from the SPSS. Now, before going to the regression model and how to do it, these are the steps that are usually involved. So first we have to identify the R value from the whole table, and then from the R value we have to interpret the association of the independent variable and the dependent variable. Here the dependent variable is the Big Mac price, whereas the independent variable is the net hourly wage in that particular country. And then we do hypothesis testing in order to conclude that the association that we find between the Big Mac price and the net hourly wage is applicable to the whole population, not just to the data given. And the value of R square is a measure of the percentage of the independent variable towards the dependent variable. So as I said here, the independent variable is the net hourly wage, right? So R square gives a percentage as in how much of the net hourly wage contributes to the Big Mac price in that particular country. And adjusted R square is also another validation that we use. And then the coefficients table gives us the regression formula, which is the Y predicted actual mathematical formula that we write. Now coming back, this table, which is the descriptive statistics table, can be ignored because we don't get much out of it, because just knowing the mean and standard deviation of our data does not give a very big output in this particular case, or it could be any case that is asked during the exam. So we can skip this part. Whereas the correlation table, coming to the correlation table, it gives a very important output. Here if you see that when you see at the correlation table, we see that the net hourly wage and the Big Mac price, the correlation between them is given by the value of 0.717, and the same between Big Mac price and it's pretty much the same value, just in rows and columns. It's fine. So 0.707, which is positive, and also it's greater than 0.7. So what we can conclude here is the association between the Big Mac price and the net hourly wage in a particular country is positive and strong. It's positive. It means when the net hourly wage increase, the price of Big Mac also increase, and it's strong, which means the increase is significant, but it's not very strong. It's not like something 0.85 or 0.9. It's fairly good. It's decent. It's strong. It's 0.717. So that is the first output that we get, and the first interpretation that we can say. And the second one is to validate the hypothesis. Now here we get the null hypothesis. Here is there is no association. Let's go back to screen share. So we find that the R is strong, positive. R square will come to that, but before that we'll go to the hypothesis. The null hypothesis here is there is no association between the price of the Big Mac burger and the net hourly wage in that particular country. And the alternate hypothesis is there is an association. Now, in order to arrive at the association, we measure it as a function of probability, because it's an output from SPSS. We use probability and not the critical values. Now the probability here is 0.000, which is pretty much yeah, it's 0, and by default the probability value or the alpha value which SPSS considers is 5%, which is 0.05. Now we get that the probability of the test variable, like which is the test probability, is lesser than the alpha value, right? So when the test probability is lesser than the alpha value, what we do is we reject the null hypothesis. So the null hypothesis here is there is no association. We reject the null hypothesis, which means there is an association. So it's an conclusion that the price of the Big Mac burger is positively associated with the net hourly wage in that particular country, and this results can be applied to any country. This result is applicable to any country. That is a solid conclusion that we get out of the probability test. So hypothesis is also validated. Now the next validation will be the R square validation, which is the contribution of the independent variable. Now coming back to the question, when we come here, this table sort of gives every value in brief. For example, we get the R value here also. So the R value is 0.717, which is already done. Now coming to the R square, which is 0.514. Now R square is usually measured as a percentage. So 0.514 technically means it's 51.4 percentage. Now what does that mean? For example, here the dependent variable is the price of the Big Mac burger, right? And the one particular independent variable that we have considered is the net hourly wage. Whereas for example, there could be other independent variables also, the size of the store, or probably the price of onions in that particular country, or the price of chicken in that country, or the price of salt. There could be a lot of independent variables. Now, the net hourly wage alone contributes to 51.4% of the variation. So 0.514 is a measure of the variation which is contributed only by the particular variable that you have taken in this particular analysis. Now the more independent variable that you add to an analysis, the higher the R square value will be. You are getting it right? Like for example, if I am adding the price of onion, there are chances that the R square value will increase more. It could become 0.707, but it's because that we have added another variable. The value of R square here is an impact of the hourly wage alone with respect to the price of the Big Mac. So this is one more interpretation that we can write, which is the price of hourly wage alone contributes to 51.4% of variation in the price of Big Mac in that particular country. Now the next part is the adjusted R square. Now this is sort of a validation. How does that impact, or what is the interpretation is? When we are keeping on, just now as I said, when you add the price of onion in the particular country, the value of R square will increase. At the same time, if it is a significant increase, the value of adjusted R square will also increase. But the thing with adjusted R square is it keeps on increasing as you add variables. But the moment when all these significant variables are done, or all the significant variables are added to the model, it starts remaining constant, or it even falls down. So ideally, the value of R square and adjusted R square should be very close to each other in order for us to conclude significantly or strongly conclude that there is a contribution of 51.4%, which is the same case here. There isn't much of a difference between adjusted R square and R square. So we can fairly conclude that there is a 51.4% of contribution of from the net hourly wage on the variation of Big Mac price. So that would be the next conclusion that we make out of it. Now the last one is finding or arriving at the regression model, which is the formula in itself. And for this we use the coefficients table. Now in particular, we'll be using the unstandardized coefficients of the beta value. Now when you remember the formula, it will be y predicted equal to beta 1x plus beta naught, right? Now where x is your independent variable and y is your dependent variable, here x will be the net hourly wage and y will be your Big Mac price. Now beta 1 is the slope of the graph that you get when you draw the variation in a two-dimensional graph. So beta 1 here would be 3.514. Sorry, beta 1 here would be 3.514, and the beta naught will be your constant, which is minus 4.154. I think I have written it wrong. No. So this will be your y predicted regression model. So you should also be writing at this value and how you came at this value. Now what is the interpretation of this is the coefficient of x, which is your beta 1, is 3.547. Now as you know, the slope is measured as a difference of y with respect to x, which means that for every individual unit that you add to x, the y predicted will be changing at a rate of 3.547. So if you add 1 unit, the y predicted will increase because it's positive. So the y predicted will increase by 3.547. If you add 2 to x, the y predicted will increase by 3.547 into 2. So that is the interpretation of the slope of the graph. Now coming to the constant, which is your minus 4.154, which is the y-intercept of the graph. It is the point where the graph intersects the y-axis when x is 0. So what it means that even when there is suppose theoretically there is a country which does not give any hourly wage to their employees, a Big Mac would sell there at a rate of minus 4.154. So that is the interpretation of the y-intercept here. So these are some of the, no, these are all the interpretation that you can make as a part one, which is arriving at your regression model. In the next video, we'll be talking about the next part of the question, which is finding a validation. So yeah, this question should be answered in two parts. First one is about the regression model and how do you arrive at it and what do each value contributes, or what is the interpretation of each value. And the second part will be the validation, which will be posting it hopefully next. Thank you.